Hi everybody, this is Dino Chris from Prehistoric Facts. I just want to let you know that this week was supposed to be an answering questions episode. Since I didn't get any questions, I decided to actually do an extra episode, and I'll actually do a movie review for you guys. And it's a dinosaur film, and it's a dinosaur film that is before 1970, and so this is actually a movie that is considered to be a must-watch, I would actually say. And this movie is actually called The Valley of Gwangi. Now, The Valley of Gwangi is actually was actually released in 1969, and it was actually a Ray Harryhausen film. And so, what this movie actually is, it takes place in the Old West, and it actually is kind of like a King Kong type of plot, basically. And it would actually involve cowboys, Native Americans, and then it actually involves dinosaurs. Can you believe it or not? It's kind of a weird take on like a science fiction meets the Old West. And then what this actually kind of is that cowboys actually go through go into the Mexican border, and then they actually find out that there's like this area where there's dinosaurs roaming on this particular place. And the Native Americans actually warn the cowboys of beware of Gwangi. And so the cowboys ignore them to think like, yeah, right, this is probably superstition. And so what they actually encounter is dinosaurs like Styracosaurus. And I believe there is a sauropod in there, but I could be wrong. And so Styracosaurus does make an appearance in this film. But also Tyrannosaurus Rex is actually in this film. Now, even though Ray Harryhausen actually says it's an Allosaurus, but it's actually a body design that is similar to Tyrannosaurus Rex. And so, I would actually say it's more of a Tyrannosaurus Rex than an Allosaurus. And even Ray Harryhausen has said himself that he did actually use the Valley of Gwangi carnivorous dinosaur to be more like Tyrannosaurus Rex than Allosaurus. And so, in that case, he is actually trying to say that it's more Tyrannosaurus Rex than Allosaurus, even though I said it's an Allosaurus back then, but now I'm actually saying it's a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And that kind of thing. Even though I'm paraphrasing, that's what I'm trying to do here. And pretty much, this movie is actually before PG-13 release, before PG-13 ratings, and so way before that. And so this is actually a movie that would actually be considered to be PG in the eyes of rating movies at that time, and so it has great adventure, great cinematography, great special effects at that time, and so this is actually a very good replacement of a King Kong plot, but it is actually it's a stranger plot, but even though it's actually got a really good story. Now, at that time, this movie was actually considered to be not really a must-go-see at the time, because it didn't actually get that much marketing. It didn't actually get that much of like publicity. So it actually was just kind of like thrown into theaters with very little advertising and all that sorts of stuff. So it's actually it kind of got a bad rap at the time. But over the years after its release, this movie has actually become a cult. Developed a cult following, and so this actually is developed to actually be considered to be one of the greatest dinosaur movies of all time. And so this is actually. And on Rotten Tomatoes, they actually give it a 75%, which is not bad. I mean, consider that at that time, during this time, at that time there was no CGI. There was nothing to actually show there was anything like CGI. It was all pretty much stop motion animation for the dinosaurs, and then the actors actually had to imagine the dinosaurs that were right there in front of them. And so this is actually it's a very interesting take of a King Kong plot. But even though, hey, it's actually a really good movie, I'd say it's a really good movie. I would actually give it like, say, I'd give it like pretty close to a 4-star rating. I would actually give it like that. What is that? It's pretty close. But I would actually say I would probably put it like, say, 3.875 out of 5. And so that's probably my rating. It's a really good. It's a very good movie. I would actually suggest you see this movie. It's going to be hard to find though. You're not going to find it in Best Buy or like your big name brand stores that actually sell DVDs and Blu-ray. You're more likely going to find it on like Amazon, eBay, because it's actually a little bit easier to find. Unless if you actually do find it on BestBuy.com, you can find it there, or otherwise maybe on certain websites, maybe some big name stores would actually have it online, and so that would actually be the case there. But you're more likely going to find it on eBay and Amazon, and so it's actually a very good film. I suggest you see this. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a very fun film, and so it kind of makes T-Rex's reputation of being like this mean, nasty type of carnivorous dinosaur still lives up as usual, almost like it was in Jurassic Park. But hey, this is actually before Jurassic Park, and so any of the younger generation, I would actually say give this movie a chance, even though does not have CGI effects. It actually has a lot more practical effects, which is actually more on towards of like props used in this movie. And so you just give this a chance, and also don't just think like, oh, it's an old movie, I'm probably not going to see this, it's got no CGI and all that sorts of stuff. I'd say certain movies are actually better off without CGI. Some movies are better with CGI, and there are some that are not. You know, like with Jurassic Park, they actually use both practical and CGI effects, and so that actually shows that you can use both. But even though like movies of today, they rely so much on CGI, sometimes those movies aren't particularly that great because the CGI doesn't give a very realistic take on certain like creatures and all that sorts of stuff. So, but in terms of the scientific ways of this movie, it's dated. But even though it's actually a lot fun to watch, but even though it's actually very dated in terms of scientific accuracies on the dinosaurs, very, very dated. This is actually way before the mid-1970s when they actually decided to change the positions of certain dinosaurs with their skeletal structure. Because now you actually see theropod dinosaurs with their backbones, with their vertebrae actually horizontal, and so that means they didn't really drag their tails. They actually kept their tails upwards in a horizontal plane, and to keep the weight of their head, to actually kind of equalize the weight of like their front part of the body to the back, and so that kind of sort of thing. And also the covering and the colors of these dinosaurs is kind of not really good realistically, even though it's a fun film to watch. It's just that you see the dinosaurs are kind of like gray and purple and all that sort of stuff, and so it's kind of actually awkward to see dinosaurs in that color, and also you still see dinosaurs as reptilian-like, so it's actually very dated in terms of scientific accuracies and all that sorts of stuff. But it's still fun to watch, even though some people would say it's kind of like a laughter type of movie where you can actually just laugh at the special effects, which is fine. But even though I don't laugh at the special effects, I just focus on the story, and so on and so forth. All right, that's my review. Now next week I actually have moved the Answering Questions episode to next week. So if you got any questions about dinosaurs or any other prehistoric life, feel free to email me at dinocris71@gmail.com, or just go on my Facebook page, Prehistoric Facts of Dino Chris. Like the page, you can actually post your questions in the comments section or on the wall of any Facebook post. Remember, keep your questions short and to the point. You can also follow me on Twitter at CSGRILL. That's my Twitter page. I post pretty cool stuff on there. Also, take care of the people around you, and also for younger people out there, make sure to listen to your parents, your teachers, and your guardians. It's the best motivation you can have for good education. It's very important to have a good education, because with a good education, you get a good job in the future. Alright, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys next week.